Are you struggling to understand how traffic flows through complex CI/CD pipelines or why your load balancer isn't distributing traffic evenly? Networking is the backbone of DevOps. Yet it's often the most misunderstood domain in certification exams. In this video, we will cover DevOps networking and load balancing practice questions exam prep. Boost your DevOps career with this comprehensive practice guide for networking and load balancing. In this video, we dive deep into 30 high-yield practice questions for the DevOps networking and load balancing certification. We'll cover everything from OSI layers and DNS records to advanced L7 load balancing and container networking. Make sure to pause the video after each question to test yourself before we reveal the detailed explanation. At which layer of the OSI model does a standard router primarily operate? Option A, Layer 2, Data Link. Option B, Layer 3, Network. Option C, Layer 4, Transport. Option D, Layer 7, Application. The correct answer is B. Routers operate at Layer 3, the network layer. Their primary responsibility is to route packets between different networks based on logical addresses, which are typically IP addresses. While some modern switches, Layer 3 switches, can also perform routing, the fundamental router device is defined by its ability to handle IP routing at the network layer. In contrast, Layer 2 is for MAC-based switching, and Layer 4 is where transport protocols like TCP, UDP reside. Which load balancing algorithm is most effective when backend servers have significantly different hardware specifications, e.g., CPU, RAM? Option A, round robin. Option B, least connections. Option C, weighted round robin. Option D, IP hash. The correct answer is C. Weighted round robin allows administrators to assign a weight to each server based on its capacity. If server A is twice as powerful as server B, it can be assigned a weight of 2, while server B gets a weight of 1. The load balancer will then send 2 requests to server A for every 1 request sent to server B. Simple round robin treats all servers as equal, which would lead to the weaker server being overwhelmed while the stronger one is underutilized. In the context of DNS, what is the primary purpose of a CNAME record? Option A, to map a domain name to an IPv4 address. Option B, to define the mail server for the domain. Option C, to create an alias from one domain name to another. Option D, to map a domain name to an IPv6 address. The correct answer is C. A canonical name, CNAME, record is used to map an alias name to a true or canonical domain name. This is frequently used in DevOps when pointing a custom domain, e.g., app.example.com, to a cloud-provided load balancer endpoint, e.g., my-loadbalancer-123.oz.com. If the IP of the load balancer changes, only the underlying record needs to be updated, and the CNAME remains valid. A records map to IPv4, and quadruple-A records map to IPv6. Which protocol is connectionless and does not guarantee the delivery of packets? Option A, TCP. Option B, HTTP. Option C, UDP. Option D, SSH. The correct answer is C. UDP, User Datagram Protocol. is a connectionless protocol that sends packets without establishing a formal connection or waiting for acknowledgements. It is faster than TCP because it lacks the overhead of error checking and flow control. This makes it ideal for real-time applications like video streaming, gaming, or DNS queries where speed is prioritized over perfect reliability. TCP, SSH, and HTTP are all connection-oriented or rely on connection-oriented protocols. A DevOps engineer needs to ensure that a user remains connected to the same backend server throughout their entire session for a shopping cart application. Which feature should be enabled? Option A, SSL offloading. Option B, sticky sessions, session affinity. Option C, health checks. Option D, path-based routing. The correct answer is B. Sticky sessions, or session affinity, is a mechanism where the load balancer uses information, like a cookie or source IP, to route all subsequent requests from a specific client to the same backend server. This is critical for stateful applications where session data, like a shopping cart, is stored locally on the server rather than in a distributed cache like Redis. Without this, a user might lose their cart items if their next request is routed to a different server. What is SSL termination at the load balancer level? Option A, encrypting traffic from the load balancer to the backend. Option B, the process of decrypting traffic at the load balancer before sending it to the backend. Option C, blocking all HTTPS traffic. Option D, rotating SSL certificates automatically. The correct answer is B. SSL termination, or SSL offloading, occurs when the load balancer handles the CPU-intensive task of decrypting incoming HTTPS traffic. Once decrypted, the traffic is usually sent to the backend servers over a secure private network as plain HTTP. This reduces the processing load on the backend application servers and simplifies certificate management, as certificates only need to be installed on the load balancer rather than every individual server. Which Kubernetes service type is used to expose a service to the external internet using a cloud provider's load balancer? Option A, cluster IP. Option B, node port. Option C, load balancer. Option D, external name. The correct answer is C. The load balancer service type in Kubernetes automatically provisions an external load balancer in the cloud provider, like AWS ELB, Azure LB, or GCP LB, and assigns it a public IP. Traffic hitting this IP is then routed to the correct pods. Cluster IP is for internal communication only, and node port exposes the service on a static port on each node's IP. Load balancer builds upon node port and cluster IP to provide a public entry point. Which algorithm is best suited for requests that vary greatly in processing time and involve backend servers with similar capacity? Option A, round robin. Option B, least connections. Option C, source IP hash. Option D, random. The correct answer is B. The least connections algorithm tracks the number of active connections each server is currently handling and sends the new request to the server with the fewest active sessions. If some requests take a long time to process, e.g., generating a report, while others are fast, round robin might pile up long-running requests on a single server. Least connections prevents this by identifying which server is actually busier, regardless of the number of requests it has received. You are configuring a security group in AWS. What is the fundamental difference between stateful and stateless traffic filtering? Option A. Stateless filters automatically allow return traffic. Option B. Stateful filters require manual rules for both inbound and outbound traffic. Option C. Stateful filters automatically allow return traffic once an initial connection is allowed. Option D. There is no difference in modern cloud providers. The correct answer is C. Security groups in AWS are stateful. If you allow an inbound request on port 80, the security group remembers this connection and automatically allows the outbound response traffic to flow back to the client. In contrast, network access control lists, NACLs, are stateless, meaning you must explicitly define both the inbound rule to allow the request and an outbound rule to allow the response, or the traffic will be blocked. A Layer 7 load balancer can make routing decisions based on which of the following? Option A. Source IP address only. Option B. TCP port numbers only. Option C. HTTP headers and URL paths. Option D. MAC addresses. The correct answer is C. Layer 7. Application layer. Load balancers are content-aware. They can inspect the actual HTTP/HTTPS traffic. This allows for advanced routing, such as sending traffic destined for API to one set of servers and traffic for images to another. Layer 4 load balancers are restricted to looking at IP addresses and TCP/UDP ports, making them faster but much less flexible in terms of routing logic. Which tool would you use to trace the path that a packet takes to reach a destination and identify where latency is occurring? Option A. Ping. Option B. NSLookup. Option C. Traceroute. Option D. Netstat. The correct answer is C. Traceroute, or Tracert, on Windows, displays the sequence of hops, routers, that a packet passes through to reach its destination. It provides the response time for each hop, helping DevOps engineers identify exactly where a bottleneck or network failure is occurring in a complex multi-hop network. Ping only tests reachability. NSLookup is for DNS, and Netstat shows local network connections. In a global server load balancing (GSLB) setup, how is traffic typically redirected to the geographically closest data center? Option A. By modifying the MAC address of the packet. Option B. By using BGP Anycast or GeoDNS. Option C. By using a physical cable between data centers. Option D. By forced redirection at the application code level. The correct answer is B. GSLB uses DNS-based techniques to route users to the nearest data center. GeoDNS identifies the user's location based on their IP address and returns the IP of the closest data center. BGP Anycast allows multiple data centers to advertise the same IP address. The Internet's routing infrastructure, BGP, then naturally directs the user's packets to the closest site in terms of network hops. This is how CDNs like Cloudflare operate. What does a CIDR notation of 24 represent in terms of the number of available IP addresses? Option A, 256. Option B, 1024. Option C, 65,536. Option D, 32. The correct answer is A. CIDR24 means that the first 24 bits of the 32-bit IP address are the network prefix, leaving 8 bits for host addresses. 2 to the power of 8 equals 256. In practice, 254 addresses are usable for devices because the first address, 0.0, is the network identifier and the last, 0.255, is the broadcast address. Understanding CIDR is vital for VPC subnetting and container network design. What is the function of the keep alive header in an HTTP connection? Option A, to keep the user logged in forever. Option B, to allow the same TCP connection to be reused for multiple HTTP requests. Option C, to check if the server is physically powered on. Option D, to prevent the load balancer from timing out. The correct answer is B. The HTTP keep alive, or persistent connection, header allows the client and server to keep the underlying TCP connection open after a request is finished. This avoids the overhead of the three-way handshake for every single image or script on a web page, significantly improving performance and reducing latency. For load balancers, managing keep alive timeouts is essential to prevent resource exhaustion. Which of the following is a primary benefit of using a reverse proxy like Nginx in front of an application server? Option A, directly increasing the CPU speed of the application server. Option B, providing an additional layer of security by hiding the identity of backend servers. Option C, eliminating the need for a firewall. Option D, allowing the application to run without an operating system. The correct answer is B. A reverse proxy acts as a gateway between users and the backend servers. By sitting in front, it masks the IP addresses and internal structure of the application servers, making it harder for attackers to target them directly. It also provides a centralized place for SSL termination, compression, and request filtering, WAF, significantly hardening the overall infrastructure architecture. What occurs during the second step of the TCP three-way handshake? Option A, the client sends a SYN packet. Option B, the server sends a SYN-ACK packet. Option C, the client sends an ACK packet. Option D, the server closes the connection. The correct answer is B. The TCP handshake consists of 1. Client sends SYN. Synchronize. 2. Server responds with SYN-ACK. Synchronize acknowledgement, indicating it is ready and acknowledging the client's request. 3. Client sends ACK. Acknowledgement. This establishes a reliable, bidirectional connection. If a load balancer or firewall is misconfigured, it may block these packets, leading to connection refused or timeout errors. In a service mesh architecture, e.g., Istio, what is the primary role of the sidecar proxy? Option A, to replace the main application container. Option B, to handle all inbound and outbound network traffic for the service pod. Option C, to back up data to an external database. Option D, to provide a user interface for the developers. The correct answer is B. In a service mesh, A sidecar proxy, like Envoy, is deployed alongside every service instance. It intercepts all network communication entering or leaving the pod. This allows the mesh to handle cross-cutting concerns like mutual TLS, MTLS, encryption, circuit breaking, retries, and detailed observability without changing any application code. This is fundamental to modern microservices networking. Which HTTP status code is typically returned by a load balancer when all backend servers fail? Health checks? Option A, 404 not found. Option B, 500 internal server error. Option C, 503 service unavailable. Option D, 200 OK. The correct answer is C. The 503 service unavailable code indicates that the server, in this case, the load balancer, is currently unable to handle the request because the upstream backend servers are either overloaded or down. A 502 bad gateway is also common, indicating the load balancer received an invalid response from the backend. A 404 would mean the path doesn't exist, while 500 implies a code crash on the server itself. What is the purpose of the ARP, Address Resolution Protocol? Option A, to map an IP address to a MAC address. Option B, to map a domain name to an IP address. Option C, to encrypt web traffic. Option D, to allocate IP addresses automatically. The correct answer is A. ARP is used to find the hardware MAC address of a host when only its IP address is known. This happens at layer 2. When a packet arrives at a local network, the router or switch uses ARP to determine which physical device should receive the frame. Mapping domain names to IPs is the job of DNS, and allocating IPs automatically is the job of DHCP. What is draining or connection draining in a load balancer? Option A, deleting all logs from the load balancer. Option B, allowing existing connections to complete before taking a server out of service. Option C, purging the cache of the load balancer. Option D, forcibly closing all connections to save power. The correct answer is B. Connection draining, or deregistration delay, is used when you want to remove a backend server for maintenance or scaling. Instead of immediately severing all active user sessions, the load balancer stops sending new requests to that server but allows existing requests to finish within a set timeout period. This prevents users from experiencing errors during deployments or infrastructure changes. Which of the following describes a full proxy load balancer architecture? Option A, the load balancer only sees the first packet of a connection. Option B, the load balancer maintains two separate TCP connections, one with the client and one with the server. Option C, the load balancer acts as a simple bridge with no inspection. Option D, the load balancer is only used for outgoing traffic. The correct answer is B. A full proxy, like F5 Big IP or Nginx in many modes, completely terminates the client connection and opens a second, independent connection to the backend server. This allows the proxy to modify headers, perform deep packet inspection, and buffer requests, responses. A packet-based, or half proxy, like some L4LBs, just passes packets through, which is faster but offers fewer features for traffic manipulation. What is the primary difference between HTTP 1.1 and HTTP 2 regarding networking efficiency? Option A. HTTP 2 is text-based while HTTP 1.1 is binary. Option B. HTTP 2 supports multiplexing, allowing multiple requests over a single connection. Option C. HTTP 1.1 is faster because it is older. Option D. HTTP 2 requires more bandwidth. The correct answer is B. HTTP 2 introduced multiplexing, which allows multiple request and response messages to be in flight at the same time over a single TCP connection. In HTTP 1.1, requests were largely sequential, head-of-line blocking. HTTP 2 also uses a binary format and header compression, HPACK, making it significantly more efficient for modern, resource-heavy websites. Supporting HTTP 2 on your load balancer can greatly improve end-user latency. Which command line utility would you use to see which ports are currently listening for connections? On a Linux server? Option A, lsla. Option B, ssTulpan. Option C, top. Option D, ifconfig. The correct answer is B. SS. Socket statistics, or the older netstat command with flags like tulpan, TCP, UDP, listening, programs, numeric, shows all open ports and the processes associated with them. This is the first step in troubleshooting why a service isn't reachable. If the service isn't listening on the expected port, e.g., 80 or 443, the load balancer won't be able to route traffic to it. What is the default port for the HTTPS protocol? Option A, 80. Option B, 22. Option C, 443. Option D, 8080. The correct answer is C. HTTPS. HTTP Secure uses port 443 by default. Standard HTTP uses port 80. Port 22 is for SSH. And 8080 is a common alternative for HTTP or proxy services. DevOps engineers must ensure that firewalls and security groups allow traffic on 443 if they are serving encrypted web content. What is the purpose of a health check in a load balancer configuration? Option A. To measure the electricity usage of the server. Option B. To periodically verify that backend servers are responding correctly. Option C. To update the operating system of the backend. Option D. To generate reports for the management team. The correct answer is B. A health check is a periodic test, e.g., an HTTP GET request to health, performed by the load balancer on each backend server. If a server fails the check, e.g., returns a 500 error or times out, the load balancer marks it as unhealthy and stops sending it traffic. Once the server passes the check again, it is automatically returned to the rotation. This ensures high availability by automatically routing around failed components. What is a web application firewall, WAF, and where is it typically placed? Option A. A firewall for the OS kernel placed on every server. Option B. A Layer 7 security service typically integrated with or placed in front of a load balancer. Option C. A physical device placed at the ISP's data center. Option D. A tool used to scan code for vulnerabilities during CD. The correct answer is B. A WAF operates at the application layer, Layer 7, and is designed to protect web applications from common attacks like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, XSS, and DDoS. It is usually integrated with the load balancer or CDN. Unlike a traditional firewall that blocks ports, a WAF inspects the actual content of HTTP requests to block malicious patterns. This is a critical component of a secure DevOps networking stack. In Docker, what is the default network driver for containers running on the same host? Option A, host. Option B, overlay. Option C, bridge. Option D, none. The correct answer is C. The bridge driver is the default networking mode in Docker. It creates a private internal network on the host, allowing containers to communicate with each other while providing isolation from the external network. To expose bridge-connected containers to the internet, you typically map a host port to a container port. Overlay is used for multi-host networking. Swarm K8s and host removes network isolation entirely. Which scenario is IP hash load balancing most useful for? Option A, distributing traffic to servers with different CPU speeds. Option B, ensuring a client always reaches the same server without using cookies. Option C, maximizing the number of total connections. Option D, routing traffic based on the URL path. The correct answer is B. IP hashing takes the client's source IP address and applies a mathematical formula to determine which backend server should handle the request because the result of the hash is consistent. The same IP will always map to the same server, as long as the server pool doesn't change. This provides a form of session persistence that doesn't rely on browser cookies, making it useful for non-browser-based applications. What is the primary benefit of using a content delivery network, CDN, in conjunction with a load balancer? Option A, it replaces the need for a load balancer entirely. Option B, it caches static content closer to the users, reducing latency and load on the origin servers. Option C, it makes the website easier to code. Option D, it increases the price of the infrastructure. The correct answer is B. A CDN consists of edge servers distributed globally. By caching static files, images, CSS, JS, at the edge, it serves content to users from a nearby location, drastically reducing latency. The load balancer at the origin only handles dynamic requests that cannot be cached. This combination provides the best mix of performance and scalability for global applications. What is the function of an Internet gateway in a cloud VPC, virtual private cloud? Option A, to connect two different VPCs together. Option B, to allow resources in a public subnet to communicate with the Internet. Option C, to store backup files for the network. Option D, to encrypt traffic between internal servers. The correct answer is B. An Internet gateway, IGW, is a horizontally scaled, redundant, and highly available VPC component that allows communication between your VPC and the Internet. It serves two purposes. providing a target in your VPC route tables for internet-bound traffic, and performing network address translation (NAT) for instances that have been assigned public IPv4 addresses. Without an IGW, a VPC is entirely isolated from the outside world. That concludes our 30 practice questions for the DevOps networking and load balancing exam. Networking can be one of the trickiest parts of the DevOps lifecycle, but mastering these fundamentals will set you apart as a professional engineer. If you found this helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe for more certification prep content. For the full 150+ question practice set and hands-on labs, check the link in the description below.